What's good, YouTube? This is BoxingWave, and we're back with another fight prediction video between Jaron Ennis and Custio Clayton. This fight is going to be on May 14th, Saturday, at 9 p.m. Eastern on Showtime. Not pay-per-view, but Showtime. It's going to be on the undercard of Jamel Charlo against Brian Castano rematch. All right, so this is going to be next weekend, and this is going to be an IBF title eliminator fight. Okay, I don't know if it's like the final eliminator or not, but I know the winner of this fight is going to bring them one step closer to fighting the current IBF champion, Errol Spence Jr. All right, so Jaron Ennis, 24 years old. He's about 5'10" in height, 74-inch reach advantage over Custio Clayton, who's 34 years old, about 5'9" in height, and only a 69-inch reach. All right. Also, Jaron Ennis has more professional fights, even though he's much younger. He's already has about 28 fights with 26 knockouts, 0 defeats, 0 draws or anything, where Custio Clayton has 20 professional fights, 19 wins, 12 knockouts, and one draw against Sergey Lipinets. Coming into this fight, Jaron Ennis is coming off like 3 of his best wins against Chris Van Heerden, which was a step up for him at the time. And then he also fought Sergey Lipinets, who he dominated after Custio Clayton fought him. And then he went on to fight, Jesus, what's this guy's name? Tomas Delorme. He dominated him and knocked him out in the first round, right, which was very, very impressive. So Jaron Ennis is a guy that's like one of the highly favorited prospects in sport. You know, out of all the non-champions, out of all the divisions, he's definitely up there. Many compare him to Roy Jones Jr. With his ability to switch. I know there's a lot of guys that can switch and go from orthodox to southpaw, but the way Ennis does it, he does it throughout each round, and he's really effective with it. Like, it's part of the strategy. Like, you can see the advantage he has of doing that. It definitely throws his opponents off. When I think of a fighter like a Leonard Bundu, for example, Bundu fought Keith Thurman. He fought Errol Spence Jr., right? Lost to both, but as he's switching, you don't see like a real advantage because he's switching constantly without gaining any momentum from either stance. Whereas Ennis, he's very effective, and it looks really clean and natural when he switches from righty to lefty. You can't really tell what he's better at when he's, whether he's fighting as a southpaw or orthodox. And because he can switch so much, it creates new angles because he's coming forward and he's switching as he's coming forward, and you don't know which, angle he's going to throw a punch from. You know what I'm saying? Plus, he has a lot of speed, has a lot of power, and because he's so tall and he's large for the division, and he can throw from outside, it's not much you can. He's really hard to predict because of the angles, and that's what makes him so good, and that's what makes him so effective, being a switcher. All right, but his athleticism is out of this world, and he has amazing reflexes. So he's able to not have to rely strictly on fundamentals and the traditional boxing technique defensively to do things. And this is why he's compared to Roy Jones Jr., because Roy was like that. He was able to throw punches from odd angles, and he used to be so explosive, so fast, and be able to get out of the way without having to have that guard up. You know what I'm saying? His reflexes is so sharp, and he's good at reading the punches that's being thrown at him. So he's one of my personal favorite fighters to watch under 25. I think he's like my second favorite. I have Shakur just above him, and that's only because I don't know if Shakur is more talented than him, but I just rather stick with the fundamentals more than the power and just the unorthodox Jaron Ennis. Just a preference thing for me. But yeah, he's a great fighter. I think the only flaws we have with him is sometimes he's, at least up to this point, he's fought guys that are really, that are good fighters. Like Olympians is a good fighter, and so is Delorme. They're really, really good fighters. Guys that are former champions or fought and competed against champions, and even though they've been beaten, they've been dropped. No one dominated neither one of them like the way that Boots has. Boots has taken it to a different level. Even Custio Clayton fought Olympians in late 2020, and that was his first step up, and it was a draw. And it was a legit draw too, no robbery or anything. It's like neither one of them had a clear advantage over the other. But it seems like when Boots getting in there, he's so explosive and he dominates everyone. But I haven't seen him fight anyone that he had any real respect for. He just goes in there and blasts everyone out. And I just think that sometimes, he's not defensively. He just doesn't seem like he cares as much. He's not as defensively aware because he's not really worried about what's getting thrown back at him, and he takes like huge risks, which is fun because you'll never see a boring Jaron Ennis fight. Some people say that about Shakur Stevenson. He's too boring. He's just too safe, where Jaron seems to come in and dominate everyone. But I think that's because of who he's facing. I think if he were to fight or Virgil Ortiz or Errol Spence or Terrence Bud Crawford, we'd probably see more of a guy that's willing to stick to the fundamentals of boxing and mix that a little bit more with the explosiveness that he has. So yeah, I think that's the best way I can really break him down. I don't think I've actually ever really broken him down prior to a fight, because every fight that came up, I just expected him to dominate. I didn't expect him to blast Delorme out like so quickly, because Delorme is a pretty tough dude, but he's really, really, really talented. And then you have Custio Clayton, who's an orthodox fighter. And when I watch him, and I mainly seen, he had a fight with Diego Ramirez, who was a southpaw. So it's a recent fight, and he was able to get a stoppage in there. And I saw his fight with Olympians, obviously, because that's the key fight right there. That's a common opponent for both Boots and Clayton. And obviously Boots passed the test as far as dominating Sergey Lipinets. Castillo, very good counterpuncher. All right, great timing. He can use the ring. He can move pretty well, and he has solid defense. He's a well-balanced fighter. Nothing that amazes me, nothing that wows me, but very balanced fighter. All right. Key thing is, though, he has good timing. Good timing with his counters, especially those short left hooks, the short shots, the short counters, and the left hooks. Good check left hook. The one thing is, though, punch output is really low. He's all about being precise and accurate. But I think with this fight, he's going to have to be forced to let his hands go because of the pressure that Jaron Ennis is going to bring in the fight. So one thing that gives a Castillo advantage over Olympians, who they both face, is that Castillo knows how to really use the ring and can guard pretty well. I mean, they both, Olympians and Castillo, kind of fights, defends out of a high guard. But at least with Custio Clayton, he knows how to move with it. The only thing is he just got to make sure he doesn't move straight back. He actually has to use a lot of lateral movement because Ennis, who has quick feet himself, he's going to follow and track you down and try to trap you, get you on the ropes, get you to the corner, and go to work. The high guard is not going to be enough to protect him, because Ennis, even from long range, he has those long arms. He's going to be able to land heavy shots around the guard of Custio Clayton if Castillo is stationary, so he has to be on the move but be on the move laterally. But I expect Castillo to, when he's on the move, I expect him to counter Ennis at times with some short shots or even with some hooks. But he's gonna have to connect and follow up with something. He's not gonna just be able to just survive with a pot shot here and there. He's gonna have to connect with something heavy. He's gonna have to take risks and sit down some of these shots, and he's gonna have to follow up with more punches and combinations instead of just landing one shot and being back on a move. It's not going to be enough because Ennis' pressure is going to be too much. And with every one shot that he lands, Ennis is going to respond with another 6 or 7. And you don't want Ennis hitting you that much, especially to the body, because you're going to be on the move. As much as you're going to be on move, how are you going to protect your body when you're fighting out of a high guard? It's going to be harder to protect your body. You know, Ennis is going to be coming forward. He's going to be using that Philly shell. You might catch him here or there, but most of the punches are going to get rolled off his shoulders. Most of the punches is going to be being blocked by his gloves, his forearms, his elbows, and you're not really going to be able to get off on him like that, you know. And plus, he's pretty decent at turning punches instead of taking punches too flush. All right, but he does get caught. He does get caught. We've seen him in fights. I seen him against Delorme in a short period of that fight. I seen him get caught in that fight. I've seen him get caught by Sergey Lipinets a good amount of times. All right, but he seemed to take the punches pretty well up to this point. And even the punches that did land against Ennis, none of the fighters really followed up with anything. We didn't see any combinations. I haven't seen anyone really try to ambush Jaron Ennis, you know. And I think Custio Clayton doesn't seem like, he doesn't strike me as a guy that is going to be willing to do that, you know. And I think that's it's gonna lead to his downfall. I just don't think he doesn't have the punch variation, the firepower to really give Ennis any real tough challenges. You know, I think he's gonna catch him here and there, but not enough. We need real firepower against Ennis at this point. You know, I think guys, more volume and better, harder counters and more combinations is gonna be troubling for Ennis down the line. But maybe at this point, Castillo, who I saw him fight Sergey Lipinets, and I noticed that it took him a while to get going. He's a slow starter. You know, it took a couple rounds. He needs rounds to fill out a Sergey Lipinets, you know, who was coming forward, you know, outside of a couple counters here and there. It took maybe half the fight before Castillo started gaining the confidence and more willing to mix it up and throw more punches. And he's not going to have that time against Ennis because Ennis is going to come out right away. You know, and Castillo is going to have to be on the move. As soon as that bell rang, Castillo will be on the move, and we won't see much punches thrown from him. It's going to be more movement, and Jaron is going to be trying to catch him and trap him as early as possible. All right, so he's gonna have to start going. You know, if he makes it out the first round, he's gonna have to get it together by round 2 and throw back and follow up with shots. You know, don't just land a quick counter. Follow it up with combination. Try to ambush Ennis. That's his best chances of winning. But I have Ennis winning this by stoppage. You know, I just don't think Castillo has enough. Depending on how durable he is, because, you know, I don't know how durable he is, and he's going to need to be durable. I know Sergey Lipinets is a pretty tough guy, and he was able to only go, you know, like maybe 6 rounds or so, but he was taking a lot of shots. I don't think Castillo is going to take as many punches, but I don't know how durable he is, you know, so it really depends on how durable he is. But I really can't see this fight going past 8 rounds. You know, I can't see it. No matter how durable he is, I can't see it because Ennis is just too strong, too accurate, and the high guard is not going to be enough because Ennis is going to be throwing and landing uppercuts, you know, hooks and looping shots around the guard. He's going to be stabbing Custio Clayton with that jab, you know. Anyway, I got Ennis winning this one by stoppage at some point. So let me know what you guys think of the breakdown. Make sure you guys subscribe to the channel. Also, smash that like button, share the video if you like it. And I'll see you guys on the next breakdown. Peace.